Welcome to another right off the bat. I don't know a lot about Spider-Man lore, and honestly, I'm not a big fan of Spider-Man coming to Magic the Gathering, but I promised myself I won't be negative about it. Stop it! I'm gonna try and look at these cards from an MTG perspective. We're gonna go over the archetypes, mechanics, and look at some cards to get a good grasp of what this set has to offer. Before we go any further, I want to look at one card in this set that's absolutely bonkers. Electro Assaulting Battery. Put this card in a VV deck and it's already broken. Now it's like busted. And looking forward to the Avatar sets where you have Fire Mending. I mean, your mana won't empty. So I think this card, off the bat, is crazy and it's just gonna get better as sets come. Let's look at this card, right? Electro Assaulting Battery, 3 mana. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, add 1 red mana. When Electro leaves the battlefield, you may pay X. When you do, he deals X damage to target player. I think this card will see a lot of play, or it will be banned along the way. With this Spider-Man set, they're officially launching 2-pick draft. 2-pick draft is a 4-player drafting format where each player picks 2 cards instead of 1. Since Wizards wants to push this format, they tuned this set completely towards it, which means there's only 5 archetypes and the cards are tuned for it. Take Hybrid Mana, for instance, which brings us to our first archetype, Black Red Mayhem. Mayhem is a new mechanic. What Mayhem does is essentially, if you discarded the card this turn, you may cast it for a lesser cost than it would normally cost. Ultimate Green Goblin, 3 Hybrid Mana. At the beginning of your upkeep, discard a card, then create a treasure token. Mayhem, 3 mana. But it's a 5/4, which is crazy. And the ability that he has, that makes you discard a card, is kind of a good engine if you got a lot of Mayhem cards, because at the beginning of your upkeep, you discard them and then you cast them again from your graveyard for a cheaper cost, which is very strong, especially for limited formats. Creating a treasure token each turn, it's kind of disgusting. Let's look at some other Mayhem cards that could pair up with the Green Goblin. For instance, Carnage Crimson Chaos. 4 mana, trample. When Carnage enters, return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains, this creature attacks each combat if able, and when this creature deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it. Mayhem 2. If you can discard him for 2 mana, a 4/3, that's ridiculous. And you get another card from your graveyard back on the battlefield that has to swing each turn. I'm very interested to see how this will play in Limited, because I really think Mayhem is an interesting mechanic. The drawback though is that you need to be able to discard your cards very easily to keep your Mayhem going turn after turn. But there's a card called Spider-Gwen Free Spirit, which can help you with that. Reach. When Spider-Gwen becomes tapped, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Not bad, right? Get your card draw going. You can filter your deck to get some cards that you want, and at the same time, you could maybe activate some of your Mayhem cards. Let's look at another one. Masked Meower. For 1 mana, haste. Discard a card, sacrifice this creature, draw a card. It's not bad for 1 mana. Second archetype is Blue-Black Graveyard Villains. Kind of speaks for itself. It revolves heavily around villains boosting each other and using the graveyard as a resource or to be able to recast creatures. Mysterio, Master of Illusion. When Mysterio enters, create a 3/3 blue illusion villain creature token for each non-token villain you control. Exile those tokens when Mysterio leaves the battlefield. That's pretty cool if you have just a bunch of villains on the board. I don't think this is great for Standard, but I can see this being played in Limited, getting maybe 2 or 3 extra villains on the board. And those villains also trigger other abilities. Another villain, Doc Ock, Sinister Scientist. 5 mana. As long as there are 8 or more cards in your graveyard, Doc Ock has base power and toughness 8. As long as you control another villain, Doc has hexproof. An 8/8 with potentially hexproof for 5 mana. It's a very strong card, especially for a common. Behold the Sinister 6. 7 mana, return up to 6 target creature cards with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's a lot of cards. If you can cast that, I mean, that's kind of devastating. The third archetype is white-blue modified. It really revolves around getting your creatures boosted with auras and enchantments and counters, which in turn makes them stronger or have special abilities. For instance, Spider, piloted by Penny, 5 mana. Vigilance, when Spider enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. When a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. It's pretty strong. Gets your engine going, drawing cards. If you got a lot of modified creatures, let's look at some enchantments. With great power, 4 mana, enchant creature you control. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for each aura and equipment attached to it. All damage that will be dealt to you is dealt to enchanted creature instead. That means if you have a really strong creature, you can essentially become immortal in some way, or at least, you know, sponge up some of that sweet damage. That's very interesting. I think white-blue could be a very strong archetype in limited. Costume Closet, 2 mana. This artifact enters with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. You can tap it to move a +1/+1 counter from this artifact onto target creature you control. Whenever a modified creature you control leaves the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on this artifact. That's pretty strong as well. It's a great way to keep your modified engine going for just 2 mana. Our fourth archetype is red-green value 4. This is kind of a weird archetype that just kind of feels bad at first sight. I mean, something happening when you cast a creature of 4 mana, that feels kind of late. You could already be dead by turn 4 or just behind. First card, Cheering Crowd. At the beginning of each player's first main phase, that player may put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. If they do, they add 1 colorless mana for each counter on it. This card is pretty good. Consistently give you the option to get some more mana to cast those 4-cost cards a little bit quicker each turn. Craven, Proud Predator. Vigilance. Top of the food chain. Craven's power is equal to the greatest mana value among permanents you control. If you don't have anything else on the board, it's just useless. It needs another card to do something. It's just bad. Scarlet Spider Ben Riley. Mouthful. 3 mana. Web-Slinging for 2. Oh, we didn't talk about Web-Slinging yet, right? We did not. So Web-Slinging is also a new mechanic. What Web-Slinging does is you may cast a creature for less mana than you would normally cast it for, but you have to return a tapped creature to your hand. Sensational save. If Scarlet Spider was cast using Web-Slinging, he enters with X +1/+1 counters on him, where X is the mana value of the returned creature. A 4/3 for 3 mana that you could cast for 2 and get some +1/+1 counters on there. It's not bad, but it still wouldn't trigger your mana value 4. Spider Manifestation for 2 mana, reach, and you can add some mana. It's a mana dork for 2 mana, 2/2. I mean, not great, not bad. Whatever gets you to cast your 4 mana cost creatures, right? Rhino Barling Brute for 7 mana. Vigilance Trample Haste. Whenever Rhino attacks, if you cast a spell with mana 4 or greater this turn, draw a card. It's a 6/7. So a few examples of when you cast mana 4 or greater. Lurking Lizards. 2 mana, Trample. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Angry Rabble. 2 mana, Trample. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. I mean, it does something, but it won't make you win the game. This archetype just, it doesn't cut it. Like, often red-green, it's either really balls hard or it just falls flat, which in this set, I think it kind of falls flat. Last archetype is green on white, which uses a lot of web-slinging cards. The problem I see with this mechanic is that if you fall behind or don't have any tapped creatures, you can't leverage that ability, which, you know, it can fall flat fairly fast. Spider-Man India, 5 mana. Web-Slinging for 3. When you cast a creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains flying until end of turn. Spider-Man, Brooklyn Visionary. Web-Slinging 3. When Spider-Man enters, search your library for basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. If you cast this card for its web-slinging cost, and later use another card's Web-Slinging to get him back to your hand, you can kind of consistently fetch some land, which makes this card pretty good. It's also a 4/3, so I see that this mechanic could work, but again, if you don't have any cards on the battlefield to web-sling, it might get difficult very fast and you might get behind fairly fast. But that's where the guy in the chair comes in. For 3 mana, 2/3 is sort of like your bread and butter for your web-slinging, and if you're a spider, he can boost you a little bit. You're gonna need a few of these kinds of cards to leverage your web-slinging, to really keep that mechanic going, keep casting creatures, boosting your other creatures by casting ETB effect. I think this might be really fun to play, but I'm not sure if it's the most powerful archetype. Since they only have 5 archetypes, they do have some kind of extension to each archetype where they add a 3rd color to give you some more options, and the set is really tuned around it. Take Black-Red, for instance, which really benefits from abilities like Connive, which is blue. You'll also notice that each of those archetypes has one card that has 3 colors. For instance, Norman Osborn, 2 mana. Norman Osborn can be blocked. Whenever Norman Osborn deals combat damage to a player, he connives. I really like the way connive sounds. It's like, I'm conniving. For 4 mana, transform Norman Osborn, activate only as a sorcery, and he becomes the Green Goblin with some OG art. Flying Menace, spells you cast from your graveyard cost 2 less to cast. Goblin formula, each non-land card in your graveyard has Mayhem. This is good. The Mayhem cost is equal to its mana cost. This is a card that would push you in 3 colors. This is an amazing card. Black-Red already has a bunch of cool Mayhem cards. Blue really helps to get some cards into your graveyard with Connive, which boosts some other creatures. I like this card. I think this would be very interesting to build a deck around. Miles Morales, 2 mana. When Miles Morales enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Then for 6 mana, you can transform Miles. He becomes the ultimate Spider-Man. How many Spider-Mans are there? First Strike, Haste, Camouflage. 2 mana, put a +1/+1 counter on Ultimate Spider-Man. He gains Hexproof and becomes colorless until end of turn. Whenever you attack, double the number of each kind of counter on each spider and legendary creature you control. That's pretty strong. It's expensive, but if you can get this going, it's pretty strong. I could see this being a commander, being able to cast your commander for only 2 mana and then transforming him. I can see some benefit in there. They're also doing the same as they did in the Final Fantasy set with the Chocobos. They're bringing out Spectacular Spider-Man in like 8 different poses, which is kind of the same as the Chocobos in different colors. 8 different treatments, 8 different suits, same place, same pose, same everything else. I didn't talk about Through the Omenpaths in this video because I did a video about it a couple of weeks ago. They're not bringing Spider-Man to Magic Arena. They're doing alternate arts with different names because they don't have licensing. This really annoys me. Even though I don't like Spider-Man coming to Magic, I like consistency. If they're gonna do Spider-Man, do it across the board. Now it's just confusing everyone. I know, I promised I wouldn't be negative, but hey, I'm a negative Nancy. What did you expect? Conclusion of the video. They did a really good job of bringing that comic book feel to Magic the Gathering. You get the special sagas, you get heroes, you get villains, you get everything that a good superhero story needs. I'm personally not a fan of superhero stories, but I do enjoy the villain cards that they made. But that's probably because I don't know Spider-Man well enough to recognize most of the villains, and they kind of feel like normal Magic the Gathering cards. It's just the Spider-Man and the superhero cards that don't land good with me. That said, if you're a fan of Spider-Man or anything Marvel, I'm sure you will enjoy this set. And there's probably a bunch of little Easter eggs on the cards. Might be fun as a reference, which I personally wouldn't get because I don't follow any of it. That was it. Kind of sitting here with a bitter taste in my mouth, but I guess that's what Magic has in store for us. So, if you like this video, as always, leave a comment, subscribe, and we will see you